2023 Piedmont Poet Laureate Dasan Ahanu to our South Garner High School auditorium. Write free, speak free, live free. Christopher Massenberg, better known as Dasan Ahanu, is a public speaker, organizer, curator, educator, poet, spoken word artist, songwriter, and MC, and loyal hip-hop head, born and raised in Raleigh, North Carolina. He is co-founder and managing director of Black Poetry Theater, a Durham-based theater company that creates and produces original poetry and spoken word-based productions.
As an active participant in Poetry Slam, Dasan has completed regionally and nationally as a founding member and coach of Durham's NC-owned Bull City Slam team. In 2010 and 2014, Ahanu led the Bull City Slam team and winning the Southern Fried Southeastern Regionally Poetry Slam, the largest regional poetry slam in the country. He also led this team to a third place finish at the 2010 National Poetry Slam and has a second place finish in Group Peace Finals at the 2012 National Poetry Slam.
We remind everyone sharing the space to practice appropriate audience etiquette, being supportive, silent, and still throughout the performance. If you need to use the restroom, please do so with as little disruption as possible so we can demonstrate respect to our guests as they perform. Be mindful of your device and refrain from using it during the performance unless otherwise directed.
We thank and recognize the United Arts Council and Raleigh Art Society and the representatives here with us today. The Piedmont Laureate Program is a multi-county partnership between United Arts, Raleigh Arts, Durham Arts Council, and the Orange County Arts Commission.
Thank you to South Garner Technical Theater students operating behind the scenes in this event. And remember, be bold, be brave, creativity takes courage. Now, without further delay, let's welcome Dasan Ahanu.
I love this moment where everybody's waiting to see what's going to get said. It's a beautiful, beautiful space to be in. I've never seen anything so beautiful. I've never seen anything so beautiful. I'm repeating this statement like Negro spirituals in fields because hope lies in the harmony. Trying to restore the harmony she once knew when she sang strong songs that now seem off-key, maybe off-balance by the extra weight in her chest, she's off-balance. She almost fainted when she found the lump. This breast cancer chorus is a tragedy. Like Braun wrote that CT scan, like Schubert wrote the biopsy results. Doctors offering encouraging quotes, half empty and half full, like whole notes and half dose, but tell me, how will she feel whole with her chest half empty, self-worth half full? She drinks sunshine to replenish her spirit, prays and stays faithful. She's a fighter, determined to win and not let this claim her. She is modeling strength, will, and determination, and I have never seen anything so beautiful. I have never seen anything so beautiful. I'm repeating this statement like fight songs. As she marches with concerns to my arm like Selma to Montgomery knows that they were beaten, tear gas, had hounds settled them. She feels beat, out of gas, tears falling, but she will not be told that she can't overcome this, and I have never seen anything so beautiful. She takes my breath away, rubs her fingers down my cheek to my throat, finds a lump. Her fingers dance along my throat like a surgeon's scalpel. She removes my confusion till I speak how she lives past the pain, so that when I'm on stage, she's fighting her stage. I'm radiating eloquency. She's going through radiation. The stage is my therapy. She's going through chemotherapy. I've lost my patience with people rooted in ignorance, and she's lost her hair, but I have never seen anything so beautiful. I know that the first Amazons were from Libya, and I'm looking at one of their descendants. She wears joy on her face like war paint. Her smile is a battle cry. I'm inspired by the will to survive. Her eyes, I pull her close. It's like watching the setting sun. Her bald head sets against my chest like an evening horizon, and I have never seen anything so beautiful. Now you can take half her chest, as long as you don't take her breath, because an angel with one wing flies in a circle, so when she leaves my embrace, it means she'll just return to where she left. She's ruling style and fashion like Caesar, because she rocking Dolce & Gabbana glasses, earrings, and a Caesar. My kisses are my penance, her laughter is my redeemer. I pull her close so I can hold her if she doesn't falter. Baby girl is just a dreamer. I'm in awe of her makeup, because she rocking a temp fade and matte makeup, a beautiful sculpture, a wonderful work of art. She has commanded my attention, so I salute her, offer her my heart, because baby girl, I have never seen anything so beautiful. What's going on, South Garner High? Y'all feeling all right? Beautiful. My name is Dasan Ahanu, and I'm a poet, performing artist, MC, songwriter, playwright. I put pen to paper and I play with words, so it's an honor and a pleasure to be here. It's been a long time since I've been to South Garner High. We're going to talk about the art of spoken word, particularly because I'm here as a representative, as Piedmont laureate, of a competition that we're having. It's a high school spoken word competition where we're inviting folks to submit their words. And we're doing a video submission because I want us to see those words and see you at the same time. I want your voice to be honored and respected and appreciated, and we want your authentic presence and self to be represented in this. There are 3 cash prizes, a reception at the governor's mansion, and the finalists are going to have their poems shared all across the triangle. So this is really important to me because I want to create a space where y'all get to shine. And so anyone who writes, raps, sings, anybody who feels like they've got something to say, talk to your teachers, and I'd love to have you submit. Now, this art form called spoken word, if you'll go to that next slide, is the combination of a literary art form and a performance art form. What you just saw me do is bring the words that I wrote and the thoughts that I had to life. That poem was written for a friend of mine who survived breast cancer. I found out, and I didn't know, but I saw a picture she posted in celebration of being 1 year cancer free, and she had sunglasses on with a bald head, and I was just like, oh, wow. And that inspired the poem. That poem got me on national television. It's a beautiful poem. I've met so many breast cancer survivors all across the country. But that intersection is very important because it's not a type of poem. I compete in Poetry Slam. That's not a type of poem. Spoken word is the idea of being able to make your thoughts live on stage, and that's where you add to the words your personality and your presence. And that's what spoken word is. And that's what I want to make sure you know, which is why we're doing the video competition. Because it's one thing to have your words on paper, it's another to be able to see you like really do what you do. You know, all of y'all move different, you walk different, you talk different, and that's a part of who you are, and I want all that seen. Now, the thing about this art form is that it offers you an opportunity to be able to look at the world and examine it, interrogate it, ask questions, but it also gives you a chance to reimagine the world. What I want to do today is I want to offer you a couple of poems, and we're getting ready to see one that I'm really excited about showing you. It's by an artist named Rudy Francisco, a friend of mine. He's out of San Diego, California. He had the pleasure of being on a late night talk show during National Poetry Month, which is April. And he did this poem called The Rifle. It's based on a real life true story, but it also is not only about this true story, it's also about his life. And I think it's a beautiful example of what can be done. So we can go to the next slide. And then you can play the video.
In honor of National Poetry Month, our next guest is here to perform the poem Rifle from his book Helium. Please welcome back to the show, Rudy Francisco.
And the article says, the Mexican government confiscates approximately 30,000 illegal firearms per year. When the guns are taken, they get dismantled and the metal is used to make other types of weapons that will later be utilized by their military. In 2012, Pedro Reyes, an artist from Mexico City, convinced his government to donate the guns to him, and he turned them into musical instruments. So somewhere there's a tambourine, a drum set, a guitar, all made out of things that were used to take people's lives, but now they create a sound that puts life back into people's bodies, which is to say, a weapon will always be a weapon, but we choose how we fight the war. And from this I learned that even the most destructive instruments can still create a melody worth dancing to, and sometimes don't we also call that a battle? I wonder how long it took to convince the first rifle that it can hold a note instead of a bullet, but still fire into a crowd and make everyone move. When I was 6, I was taught how to throw a punch. In the 80s, that was the anti-bullying movement. The first time one of my classmates took a yo mama joke a little too far, I remembered my training, so I turned his nose into a fountain, my fist 5 pennies, I closed my eyes, I made a wish, I came home with bloody knuckles, and it was the first piece of artwork we hung on the fridge. I remember staring at my hands, the same way you stare at a test when all your answers are correct. I didn't know what class this was, but I did know I was passing, and isn't that what masculinity has become? A bunch of dudes afraid of their own feelings, terrified of any emotion other than anger, constantly yelling at the shadows on the wall, but still haven't realized that we're the ones standing in front of the light. We learn how to dodge a jab. We learn how to step in before we swing. We learn the heart is the same size as the fist, but we keep forgetting they don't have the same functions. We keep telling each other to man up, but we don't even know what that means. We turn our boys into bayonets. We point them in the wrong direction. We pull their triggers, and then we ignore all the damage they're doing in the distance. The word repurpose. The word repurpose. The word repurpose means to take an object and give it amnesia. It means to make something forget what it's been trained to do so you can use it for a better reason. I am learning that this body is not a shotgun. I am learning that this body is not a pistol. I am learning that a man is not defined by what he can destroy. I am learning that a person who only knows how to fight can only communicate in violence, and that shouldn't be anyone's first language. I'm learning the difference between a garden and a graveyard is only what you choose to put in the ground. You see, once I came across a picture of a strange looking violin. The caption said that it was made out of a rifle. And I thought to myself, you know, someday that could be me.
You can go to the next slide. So, one of the things that I really appreciate is that with poetry, there is this recontextualization. I'll give you an example. Is there anybody who plays an instrument or is in the band or does digital production? Raise your hand. Cool, then y'all all understand what a measure of music is. Now, for everyone else, all those musicians know how to play a measure of music, especially if they're able to read music. If you write lyrics to a measure of music, that is called a bar, literally. Now, if what you wrote is good, then you got a bar. So you can write bars and you can have bars. And that, my friends, is a double entendre. And that's the thing that I really appreciate. Because, of course, we all know that when we hear something, you hear somebody, especially in rap music, if you hear somebody and it's good, you're like, oh, they got bars. Bars. And this idea that they do have bars and they got bars. And so there's so many things that we can do with language that I really appreciate, and that recontextualization is one of them. The other thing is this idea of wordplay. Now, if I got up in the morning and I told you, I walked up on you and I was like, yo, I got up this morning, put on this yellow shirt, these blue jeans, and some red sneakers, and I was like, it's drip, right? Y'all would be like, no, exactly. No, it's not. Chill. Like, calm down, right? But when we talk about wordplay and the ability to play with words, it's a different conversation if I walk up and I go, yeah, I got up this morning and draped the sun over my shoulders, stepped into the sky and set my feet on fire. Right? Now I'm wearing the same thing, but it sounds different, right? It sounds different. That's this thing about wordplay. Being able to play with these words. And then, of course, there's the idea of emotion. Being able to convey emotion. Sadness, joy, anger, frustration, right? That's what spoken word allows you to do. And so all that can put together, and there's a lot of things that you're able to do with that. For example, I drifted off to sleep with the sound of Nas's Illmatic playing in the background. Next thing you know, I'm walking down the block, I see a kid at the bus stop, I stop, we talk about hip hop, and I feel like I'm Nas in the park with Shorty Doo-Wop. He telling me he rhymes, so I ask him what he rhyme about, and I listen to the words that he give me about his mouth, the rims he want to have, the cars he want to push, the places he want to see, the things he want to do. So I asked him if he made it, would he still remember me? He said maybe, so I laughed at the little dude. He was like, poet, I might bet you I could ad-lib, maybe an interlude. He said that black car, yeah, he had to have it. I said, you can't define a man by a piece of plastic. Cat Stacey Augman thinking they're running rebels being played by a shark, happy to ice their bezels if they never realize they're playing for a devil, so you set your sights higher and you never ever settle. He was like, oh, okay, OG, I see you got a little something with you. But he was like, but where your bars at? I said, where my bars at? I said, I don't do illusions, I don't do the parlor tricks. If you vote them relevant, I say forget the politics. Rebellion on my vocal cords and fire on my tongue, I ride on the page till it all comes undone. I write like a young Stokely, so when I hit a stage, a change is on the way. Lyrics Kwame Ture, power in the shadows and the absence of light. I know black power, I only write at midnight. Look into my eyes as my frown suggests tension. I can put text on a track for your reading comprehension. I deliver rainbows for souls that are hurting. Swagger Jesse Jackson, purpose LeVar Burton. Ask me if I'm ready, I tell you for certain. Especially when I know I really put the work in. Every day is preparation, dreaming is rehearsing, and when I sleep it means me and God is conversing. I said, are you afraid to win or are you afraid to lose? Are you afraid to accept responsibility or are you just afraid to choose? I've seen people tie a noose and climb up the tree rather than be the person they're supposed to be. Now that's strange fruit. Where you'd rather live a lie than learn the truth. I can look in your eyes and see you don't want it. I can listen to you speak and see you ain't ready. And I'm watching you write your rhymes, you can't even hold your pen steady. What, you nervous? But you might win and have to actually walk in your purpose. You see a mountain, I see a molehill, but you acting like it's insurmountable, but you don't want to be held accountable. But I remember my grandma telling me a story about Moses finding God at the top of a peak. He got a deal. God produced 10 tracks. He returned to the people with a classic, rocked them jams, got distribution. That means your grind is your climb. So tell me what you've been doing. If your dreams are over there and you standing right here, the only barrier to your progress is fear. And he was like, but OG, I be in the studio pounding out tracks. I said, that ain't the way to beat the machine. John Henry died like that. What's your stage show like? What your concepts were? What your penmanship like? What a variety in your verse? Otherwise, stand on the sideline and watch us work. Stand over there and silently hate. Watch us go after it and you silently wait, just playing. I'm trying to feel what you're talking about, but I can't understand or grasp what you're saying. It seems you don't understand we can't waste any time because there's promise waiting for us at the finish line. I said I was a hero whenever I touched the mic. But now they call me a menace like I'm a dark knight for calling out frustration that all of us got pent. The game's got two faces, the industry's Harvey Dent. These cats are hung over and their videos are proof. They drunk off the hype, they left their soul on the roof. Our lives under attack, but nobody bothered to warn us, because all they want to mention is them twins from Transformers, but I'm talking about our lives and how we can transform them. Sharpening up my pen, I'm tightening my delivery, giving you these sun rays and metaphors and similes, so marvel at the sight and how it shines so vividly. So when they got you in the club popping bottles with people you don't know because there's a label that told you to put on the show, you tell me what that bar like. When they got you behind concrete, you look in your mother's eye, you see a tear down your cheek because they made you act like you was really from the streets, you tell me what them bars like. When you realize that we have set a standard so high that you can't reach because you didn't listen to the lessons we were trying to teach, you tell me what that bar like. You tell me what your bar's like. Bars. So there's so much that can happen with this art form. Now I want to share some other folks with you because I believe in representation and I believe that, when we talk about authentic voice, I want you to have some examples. So we're gonna have 2 examples here. The first is from Elizabeth Acevedo, who's a championship poet out in the DMV area, but she's also the writer of an award-winning YAI novel called Project X. She's Dominican, and this poem is centered around hair. After that, there's a poem by Sarah Kay, who had an amazing poem she dropped at 18 years old that took over the world, that was centered around hands. And so there are all these ways to approach being able to share your thoughts. Now, Elizabeth's poem is about hair, but it's about heritage. Sarah Kay's poem is about hands, but it's also about the relationship between her and her father. So there's so much. And what I know is I know that all of y'all have stories. You have things you've seen, things you feel, things you understand, and I think that's valuable. As an educator and a teaching artist, I know that it's there, and I also know how important it is. And this contest is an opportunity to be able to showcase that. So in case you're wondering, we're gonna make sure you got the information about the contest, but I wanna be able to kind of offer you some inspiration and some encouragement to participate in this moment with me. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna check out this poem from Elizabeth Acevedo. You can go to the next slide, and you can play this video.
My mother tells me to fix my hair. And by fix, she means straighten. She means whiten. But how do you fix this shipwrecked history of hair? The true meaning of stranded. Where tresses hug tight like African cousins in ship bellies, did they imagine their great-grandchildren would look like us and would hate them how we do? Trying to find ways to erase them out of our skin, to iron them out of our hair, this wild tangle of hair that strangles air. You call them wild curls, I call them breathing. Ancestors spiraling. Can't you see them in this wet hair that waves like hello? And they say Dominicans do the best hair. They can wash, set, fly in the spring in any lock. But what they mean is we're the best at swallowing amnesia in a cup of morir soñando. Die dreaming because we'd rather do that than live in this reality caught between orange juice and milk, between reflections of the sun and whiteness. What they mean is, why would you date a black man? What they mean is a prieto cocolo. What they mean is, why would 2 oppressed people come together? It's 2 times the trouble. What they really mean is, have you thought of your daughter's hair? And I don't tell them that we love like sugarcane, brown skin, pale flesh, meshed in pure sweetness, the children of fields. Our bodies curve into one another like an echo, and I let my curtain of curls blanket us from the world, how our children will be beautiful, of dust skin and diamond eyes, hair of reclamation, how I will braid pride down their backs, so from the moment they leave the womb, they will be born in love with themselves. My mother tells me to fix my hair, and so many words remain unspoken, because all I can reply is you can't fix what was never broken.
Yeah. That's Elizabeth Acevedo. We can go to the next one. And this is Sarah Kay.
From New York, please give a warm Def Poetry welcome to 18-year-old Sarah Kay.
People used to tell me that I had beautiful hands, told me so often, in fact, that one day I started to believe them, until I asked my photographer father, hey, Daddy, could I be a hand model? To which he said, no way. I don't remember the reason he gave me, and I would have been upset, but there were far too many stuffed animals to hold, too many homework assignments to write, too many boys to wave at, too many years to grow. We used to have a game, my dad and I, about holding hands, because we held hands everywhere, and every time either he or I would whisper a great big number to the other, pretending that we were keeping track of how many times we had held hands, that we were sure this one had to be 8,002,753. Hands learn more than minds do. Hands learn how to hold other hands, how to grip pencils and mold poetry, how to tickle pianos and dribble a basketball and grip the handles of a bicycle, how to hold old people and touch babies. I love hands like I love people. They're the maps and compasses with which we navigate our way through life. Some people read palms to tell your future, but I read hands to tell your past. Each scar marks a story worth telling. Each calloused palm, each cracked knuckle is a missed punch or years in a factory. Now, I've seen Middle Eastern hands clenched in Middle Eastern fists, pounding against each other like war drums. Each country sees their fists as warriors and others as enemies, even if fists alone are only hands. But this is not about politics. No, hands are not about politics. This is a poem about love and fingers. Fingers interlocked like a beautiful zipper of prayer. One time, I grabbed my dad's hand so that our fingers interlocked perfectly, but he changed positions, saying, no, that handhold is for your mom. Kids high five, but grown up, we learn how to shake hands. You need a firm handshake, but don't hold on too tight, but don't let go too soon, but don't hold down for too long. But hands are not about politics. When did it become so complicated? I always thought it simple. The other day, my dad looked at my hands as if seeing them for the first time, and with laughter behind his eyelids, with all the seriousness a man of his humor could muster, he said, you know, you've got nice hands. You could have been a hand model. And before the laughter can escape me, I shake my head at him and squeeze his hand, 8,002,754.
From you. All right, so you can go to the next slide. There's some key things about this idea of performing poetry that I want to talk about. I call these the 6 Ps. I developed this because after years of working and speaking and teaching, some of the things that I learned in public speaking class were valuable, but some things caused me more anxiety than help. So I was like, I want to come up with my own methodology about what it means to get yourself ready and to prepare to perform. The first thing, of course, is preparation. When you get your words together, figure out what you want to say and how you want to say it. And then from there, you move to your posture. Now, all the folks who are involved in theater, you know what it is to stand and open yourself up to the crowd. You don't want to be closed unless it's intentional. You want to have a bold, confident posture. Now, all of you have your own kind of way that you kind of like move and exist in your own body, but when you perform, I want everybody to understand that whatever that is, on video, whatever, and these are things that you can use giving speeches, presentations in class, that's your moment. You own it. And when I say you own it, that means everybody has been invited into your house. That's your spot. So when you own it, you stand like you own it. And I want you to keep that with you forever. Just know that whatever your moment is, you own it. So there's a posture that you have. And then after that posture comes your presence. You talk with your hands like I do. You know, do you move your shoulders? Do you look to the side? Do you side eye? Like, what do you do? That's your presence, right? All of that matters. All of you have a presence. And some of you got a particular presence that everybody knows when you walk in the building. That matters. And spoken word gives you an opportunity to bring that with you with your art. Then, of course, there's your projection. Now, here's a task. We're going to try this out. We're going to do this twice. I want you to count together from 0 to 10. Okay? 0 being the softest you can be and 10 being the loudest. I want you to do it on the count of 3. 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ooh, that might be the best one all week. Okay, we're gonna do that one more time. Y'all did that good. Okay, one more time. On the count of 3. That was beautiful. All right, choir, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Okay, all right. See, there's always something. See, the first one went too well. The rebels got to be like, I ain't conforming. Okay, 0, 1. I don't know how we got to 4 so fast. Let's try it again. 1, 2, 3. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Woo! I love it. Reason why I respond like that, because after years of performing, what I know is all of that, that's energy, and it fills the room. And I feel it. It feels good. The other thing about that, reason why I do that scale, and I do that with every performer, is that that's how you find your performance and presentation speaking voice. Oftentimes we think we speak the way we talk, or we think we should be loud because everyone tells us project, but they never tell us what projection is. Whatever you are counting and you start to feel it in your throat and in your chest, that means you're starting to strain your voice. That's where your level stops. Because anything below that, you can maintain over time without losing your voice. So for me, that's a 6. Past 6, if I'm talking past 6, I'm doing it for a purpose. If I'm talking lower than 6, I'm doing it for a purpose. Otherwise, this is where I'm at. And I can talk like this for hours, but this makes sure that I'm heard. So that's the thing about projection. You want to figure that out and what's comfortable for you. Then there's pace. Do you want to talk slow, or do you want to talk really fast? And you want to mix it up, right? The thing about presentations and speaking is that you don't want to talk too long the same way for too long. Our brains shift every 45 seconds. We need a little something different to happen so that we can stay dialed in. So that's an important part of this. And then last is the punctuation. I always say stick the landing. Make sure that when you're done, everybody knows you're done. So you want to do that with confidence and assurance, right? There's a couple of ways that y'all are all familiar with, because I'm pretty sure when you're having a conversation or argument, family, friends, whatever, you've seen some of these. There's a dramatic ending. Look, I am done talking now, right? Everybody get now, right? That's that dramatic ending. The walk off, I love the walk off. You know, I'm done talking to you now. I love the walk off. It's like I'm just walking off. I'm just leaving you standing there talking crazy. But there's so many ways to make sure that when you are done, you are done. And those are the 6 P's. When you think about those things, I want you to keep those in mind, because that's some of the tips that are provided as part of the competition to help people be able to understand what's going on. All right? Now, one last thing, and then we're going to find out if there's possibly some questions out there that I want to kind of do. But give me just 1 second. And y'all make some noise for this beautiful stage setup. This is amazing. I love it. This is beautiful, right? There's a reason why I'm doing this. There's a reason why I'm doing this, in case you're wondering why am I deconstructing the stage. The other thing about being able to understand these words, and I want to do this because not everybody, not all the time do these poems and these things. For some people like to operate in their heads. Not everybody writes everything down. And there's a place for being able to think about these things and kind of be able to pull these things together in real time. And I want to let you know that that's also a part of this art form as well. So, I was always told to be proud of who you are. And there's something about recognizing that you are a part of a lineage that most cannot deny. Whenever I'm looking for inspiration, sometimes I just turn my head up to the sky and ask my ancestors to be with me, because I know that there's been so much work to be able to succeed in a place that doesn't consider you to be beautiful. Now, one of my mantras is that a dream is a destination, not an aspiration. So me dreaming is me plotting my way towards my own glory. And I do that by maintaining a vision that one day folks are going to see me and know that hard work and determination allowed me to be where I am at. I realize that sometimes there are folks who want to put me in a race but don't understand that I don't have any problems rocking a track. If you listen, Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, you will find that out. And I consider that to be the Jesse Owens inside of my spirit. That lets me know that if I put feet to pavement and push myself forward, I can propel myself to a new level. One that can have me recognizing that people will know my name. Maybe I will put it on everything, make myself bigger than life until I can help to create capacity for others. You know, like Oprah, there is something about recognizing that there is a beautiful music in your voice. Whether it is clear or whether it is raspy, there's a Louis Armstrong in all of us, something so wonderful that is jazz, like maybe it's hip hop, reggae, maybe it's R&B, but there's something beautiful about knowing that inside of each one of you is a melody. And y'all, I get it, that there's not enough people who understand that when they put us into a box, a category, it's like they want to sit us at the back of a bus, but I know someone who refused. So I say, don't get it confused. There is no back for me. I'm at the front until I'm at the top. And everything that I am and everything I bring with me lets you know exactly how I rock. There is no stopping this. There is no setting it to the side. I move with pride like Rosa moved a nation. See, there's power in each one of us, and I walk in a lineage that has existed for so long. A beautiful power, something special, something that allows me to continue on and stay strong. They try to put this characterization in front of me. I don't vote for any, but I do know my vote is powerful. I seen a beautiful thing, seeing folks in a White House who look like me, but I know that even though that was only for an instance and a moment, it is not the only way that's possible, y'all. The Obamas were special. A powerful instance, something unique, but I also know that anything thrown at me, I hit out the park like Hank Aaron. Is powerful to know you are strong, that there is strength, that there is a stage waiting for you, whether it be in an office, in a classroom. There's power in all of that. And I've been knowing this for a while, because it's these words, this gift, this ability to create art that I bring with me. And whether it was written down on paper or not, I can still make use of it, just like I did in this freestyle. Hi. Did y'all figure it out? You get it? All right, I guess y'all were not impressed. It's okay. It's a lot of hard work, y'all. That was, y'all a hard crowd, all right, yeah. Now, I appreciate y'all allowing me to be here, but I want to take an opportunity and see if there are any questions. Anybody got a question out there? Anything you'd like to know about the contest, about spoken word, about art, about me, anything? Anybody have questions? There's a microphone out here so that there's the opportunity to ask questions. If you have a question, don't be shy, feel free. Yes, yeah, come on down and ask a question. Y'all can move to the, oh, you already did. Yeah. Shouts out to y'all. Right.
What was your journey in becoming a professional in this art form? Like, we understand, yes, you write on paper and we have these ideas, but how did you connect it with profession?
That's a very good question. One of the things that I realize that doesn't happen enough is that there's not enough conversation about the larger world of performing art, both domestic and internationally. And I'm just starting to kind of explore the international aspect of this, but when we think about art, we think about entertainment. And the entertainment industry is very particular. Television, radio, red carpet, awards, affluence, popping bottles, like there's a particular image that we're presented with. But the world of art is way bigger. And so that's how I came to understand that there was a profession, because there's so many places for art that you can, and so many opportunities to make money, that if you, the more you know about it, the more you can create a career and a sustainable career for yourself in the art, and you can do something you love to do. If you make music, it's not just about releasing an album. There's music licensing and syncing, there's so many things. There's music in video games, like there's music everywhere. And all of it is by someone, and it all got paid for. So there's an opportunity, whether you perform, whether you write. Many of us can write, and there are people who would love for us to write for them. And so there's so much, and it just took that information. the first thing is, of course, getting better in your craft, but we gotta have more conversations about what's waiting for us out there, and I think that helped me. So thank you for that question. Go ahead.
She completely stole my question, but I got another one.
Okay.
What inspired you to get into this industry?
Inspiration. So my inspiration, there's two big things. One is people. I'm a nosy, and I'm a watcher. I was a shy, introverted kid who happens to now have a very public profession. But I used to sit and watch all the time. And so just seeing things and curious about like how things work is one thing that's an inspiration. The other is being a shy, introverted kid, like I have things that matter and things that I want to say. And it was the idea that this would allow me to command the moment and be heard. And that was inspiring to me because I know not only for me, but everybody like me. Like I can be in a room and talk to people and know that there are folks in that room who may not ever have an opportunity to be where I am, but I can talk for all of us and the rest of the room's got to hear us. And so it's that opportunity to be able to carry people's stories and represent for them as well as myself.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you know what you were named after?
Great question. So I chose this name, it's a great question, for its meaning. Once again, I said I was shy and introverted and I did not want to get on stage. So my mother and my family named me Christopher Dion Massenberg. Now, I named myself Dasan Ahanu. Dasan means ruler, and Ahanu is someone who laughs. It's indigenous. The translations are indigenous. And the way that I look at it is someone who commands with a sense of humor. And it's the idea that I'm someone who can take command, but I'm also a person who, I'm a real sarcastic individual. Someone who has a personality. And naming myself was me claiming my space, right? I didn't want to be seen as anything that I didn't have command of. And so when you see me and my name gets called Dasan Ahanu, that's me. And so that's always going to be me wherever you hear that name. Good question.
Thank you, thank you.
Hi, I wanted to know how long or short a poem should be.
Great question. It really is up to you. One of the greatest pieces of literature that I love is by Ernest Hemingway. It's only 6 words. For sale, baby shoes never worn. For sale, baby shoes never worn. Now, there are particular folks in this room that understand exactly what that experience is by just those 6 words. So it's up to you. The thing to remember is, are you done saying what you need to say? Because there are moments in your life when you're having a conversation with a person and you're like, I'm good, I said what I said. And you're done. And then their poem's like, hold on, actually, let me make this point. It's the same thing with the poetry. Like, when have you finished saying what you needed to say? When you've done that, then the poem's done. Yeah, good question.
Thank you.
Hi, how did you gather the courage to pursue your dreams?
People. I had good people around me who encouraged me and were like, I think you have a gift. Someone asked me this week about doubt, and I've had a lot of doubt because you never know how people are going to respond to your art. What I ultimately realized is that it doesn't matter how people respond to your art. If it doesn't work, that doesn't mean you don't work. That means that you need to go back and do some more work, right? And so when I learned that, I'm like, well, I don't care then. If you don't like it, I'm going back to the lab. If you like it, then I'm gonna keep rocking and I'm gonna do more. If I'm not sure, then it means we're gonna tighten this up. But it means I'm still progressing. And so one thing that I learned, and I learned this from a really corny movie called, before he was Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds was the Green Lantern. Yeah, that movie's horrible. But there's a gem in that movie. Hal Jordan is, in the comics, is fearless, like the Green Lanterns have fearless. In there, he's talking about being fearless. It's like you shouldn't be fearless, you should be courageous. And courageous is to face your fears and still move through them. And I was like, ooh, that's good. The rest of this movie is bad, but that's good. And so that's the way I think about it. It's like being willing to learn to recognize that all of this is an experience and that I'm building myself and equipping myself from it. So that kind of changed everything for me. Good question.
Thank you.
Was there ever a time when you had a writer's block? And if there was, what was your inspiration to keep moving and actually create a poem?
Great question. I don't believe in writer's block. I do know it exists, but I don't believe in it. Here's why. The thing about writer's block is often that it's not that you can't write, it's that you can't write what you want to write. or you can't write what you're used to writing. You can write. And so my response to writer's block is to write my way back to my spot. You know what I'm saying? So I can't do what I want to do, but they're thoughts. And so even if I jot thoughts, if they're random, if I can't get to writing a whole piece, I'm gonna keep sharpening my tool. I'm gonna keep working until I get back to where I need to be. And then I'm not starting from scratch. I've been honing my gift. I do that with my students all the time because they'll be like, I can't write anything. And I'm like, yes you can. You just don't want to write. You just don't like what you're writing. And they'll be like, yeah, okay, well, you're not supposed to, right? This period of time is about, we don't know what's next, but it's your job to keep prepared for when we figure it out. That's your mind talking to your spirit. Like, we don't know what's next. And down here, it's like, so y'all keep us ready. And so you gotta honor that. If we just go, I can't write anything, then we're not honoring that. And then when the inspiration comes, we can't really write about it the way we want because we haven't been writing. So that's my response to writer's block. But it's a powerful thing. But like, I'll jot notes, and then it's like just keeping myself occupied. And then I'm like, got it. Okay, let's go. And then I can write. Great question.
Thank you.
And somebody keep us honest on time and let us know when we get close to time.
All right. So, do you have any words or advice for people who want to perform or but are too introverted or scared to perform?
One of the things about that is I was that person, literally. I had been writing a very long time before I ever took a stage, and everybody who encouraged me, went to great lengths to avoid them. Here's the thing that changed for me. One, I just decided to try it. I tried it in a safe environment, somewhere where I knew when I got done, I was gonna get hand claps. And the experience of getting through it and having the people clap, because they're gonna clap at the end unless you're just horrific. And none of us are ever gonna be horrific, right? We think we're gonna be horrible, we're not. I've been doing this a very, very long time, and there's only been a couple of moments where I've ever seen anything horrific. Everything else has been all right. So that means people are like, and I was like, oh, okay, that's not that bad. And then I was able to get through it. The other thing though is there's a mental thing. When I talked about the idea of your moment is your house, no one ever makes us comfortable in our own house, our own dorm room, our own space. And so the way that I think about it is when I walk myself up to present, it's like I am coming to the door to open the door to welcome you into my house. And that changed everything because of course then, you're in my house, I can be how I'm gonna be at home. Sometimes the anxiety is about whether or not how we feel about putting ourselves out for judgment in front of people. But if you're in my house, there ain't no judgment. You're gonna get this however you get this. However I showed up, don't touch nothing, don't bother nothing, don't act up in my space, right? So that's that thing. And I use Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood as my inspiration because I'm older. There's this thing where he walked in the door and saying it's a beautiful day to be in the neighborhood. He took off a jacket, put on a sweater, and all of a sudden we realized he was at home. We believed it, and that's my thing. When I walk up, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Would you be mine? Won't you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor? You in my house. Now when I'm done, it can be somebody else's house. But when I'm up here, it's my house. So if I'm awkward, if I'm quirky, if I'm weird, guess what? You're gonna get all of this. And when I'm done, you can get something else. But that mindset changed, and that's how it's been for the majority of my career. And what I found is that that's been affirmed so many times because there are people in the audience like, thank you, you're me. And I'm like, good, okay, I ain't alone out here. But I would have never known if I hadn't never put myself in that position. So, great question.
Thank you.
What kind of practice or study would you recommend to people who want to get better at wordplay?
Ooh, great question. So I'm gonna tell you, one of the greatest, this is often overlooked, one of the greatest ways to think about wordplay is puns, okay? Puns are a great example of wordplay. Dad jokes are a fascination for me, but puns are, because it is the subtle juxtaposition, like it's very subtle, juxtaposition in the way that things happen. Another thing that's often overlooked is I'm infatuated with sitcoms. The writing in sitcoms are beautiful because there's so many ways of writing and examining and pulling things apart that are present there. So I say oftentimes, what I'm supposed to tell you is I'm supposed to rattle off names of poets that you should study. That's not how I operate, it's not how I teach. I'm gonna pull you past that and I'm gonna get you to the craft and talk about where you can look at wordplay and practice, and then you can work your way back up to poets, and then you'll be able to go, oh, I see what they were doing. So puns, dad jokes, sitcoms, comic books, graphic novels, there's a thing being done because there's a brevity of space and time that are really good examples of how you can play with words, that when you go back to looking and reading poems, you'll be able to really think about it in a different way and find your own way in it. So those are some of the examples I would give.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I know every writer's answer may be different, but it's one thing to get inspiration to write, but how do you gain the motivation to write?
Two things. Great question. One, write when you're called to write, and write until you're called to write. But never think, but do not believe that that there is an amount of writing that you should do. Like some folks write every day. I don't write every day. And thinking is writing. Nobody will tell you that, but you can't write unless you think, right? And you can't write anything unless you think about what it is first. So thinking is writing. But I'm constantly writing. I may write a line. I may write a couple of lines. I may write a thought. I may plan out a poem to write later. And then when I get the feeling that I need to write, I stop and write. And that's the thing. I just keep myself active until I get out what I'm trying to get out. But it builds a practice is ultimately what I'm saying, is that the way to do it is to build a practice. You don't ever want to have to start from scratch to create. My motto is that it's way easier to work with a puzzle than it is a blank canvas. So I don't like to work from scratch, I like to work from experience. So the only way to do that is to give myself experiences to pull from and to stay in practice. The same way that if you're a musician, you're expected to practice regularly so that you don't go to play cold. It's the same way. But never believe that you have to write an amount of anything.
I appreciate it. Hi, what's been your favorite piece that you've ever performed, and what makes it your favorite?
Ooh, great question. So, my favorite piece that I've ever performed. Someone asked me my favorite piece that I've written. Performed is a different question, so I'm gonna answer both of those. My favorite piece that I've ever performed is this piece called Body Language. I was in Boston and I attended this workshop, and the idea was to what if a part of your body was speaking. And so the poem is about police brutality, but it's through the body. So it starts with the hands, the head, the feet, but it's this idea of body language, speaking. Probably my favorite poem to perform. It's on YouTube if you go look up at Dasan Body Language. There's a video of it from competition. My favorite poem that I've written is a poem called Metaphor. I like to use metaphor a lot. One of the poets that I work with was like, I bet you can't write a poem with no metaphor. I wrote a poem full of similes. I told y'all I'm a jerk, y'all. I wrote a poem full of similes, and then I was like, you didn't say I couldn't use similes. And then I wrote a poem full of metaphors. And that's one of my favorite poems because it was just classically me. But yes, great question. And metaphor you can also find on YouTube as well.
Thank you.
5 minutes.
Okay, great.
I have 2 questions. Is that all right? Or?
Go ahead. We'll see how long the questions are.
Okay. So like with spoken word and things like that, would I like with poetry, would I have to relate to outside things, like outside influences, or can it be something that's internal or like just a personal thing that I've written?
Yes. All day, every day. Yes. That's an easy question. Go ahead. What's the next one?
Also, like, where can I find you? Are you like in this area that do you like?
Yes, I am. I'm the only person with that name Only reason why I'm saying that is that all of my stuff is Dasan Ahanu, one word. So all my social media, and you can find website, all that, and I am in this area. How to contact me, all of that stuff you can find if you look up Dasan Ahanu. But I'm from Raleigh. I grew up in Raleigh, and I'm from North Carolina. My family's from North Carolina, and I live in Durham, so I'm here. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we go.
I had a question about the competition.
Mhm.
Is there a time constraint for the video? And if there is, what's the minimum and maximum of how long it can be?
3 minutes? 3 minutes is the maximum. Minimum, no minimum. If it's powerful and you up there for 30 seconds, it's gonna be like, no, so no minimum, 3 minutes maximum for the video.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
My question is, how do you find yourself being able to think metaphorically about everything and not just a certain topic for writing a poem?
Okay, great question. So generally, and I've been asking this question all week, we learn about simile. We learn that simile is a comparison using like grass, and metaphor is a comparison without using like grass. The thing that's important is to remember that metaphor is a comparison of two unlike things without using like grass. The thing about it is that simile is a side-by-side comparison. Metaphor is a replacement. So what I also teach is that when you think about metaphor, it's the thing that you're describing and the thing that you're replacing it with, and making sure that you are talking about the thing that you're replacing it with as if you're talking about the original object, and that's based on the shared characteristics. Reason why I say that is if you think about that, if you like the chair is gray, and I can say that I came into the auditorium, sat in an elephant, and went on safari, it's because the chair and the elephant are gray. So as long as I'm talking about sitting on the elephant in an auditorium, the world knows that I am not talking about an elephant, unless it's the most unique auditorium ever in the world. Because I talk about it like a chair, I can replace it with anything and everyone will get it. So it's about the context of it, which means that if you understand that, then anything can be a metaphor. That green plant could become the forest at the edge of the stage. Right? So everything can be recontextualized in that way, so that you can then find metaphor everywhere. So that was the thing that unlocked it for me. All right? I think we are out of, I'm gonna, real quick, come on, ask your question real quick, this last one. And then y'all too, y'all can, if y'all, if you have a chance, as soon as we let everybody go, if you got a chance, you can come up to ask me a question if you have it. Yes, go ahead.
Do you think that there's an exact genre of poetry? Like specific?
Say that one more time.
Do you think there's like a specific genre of poetry?
There's lots of types of poetry. And I'm glad you asked that question, because there's prose poetry, there's romantic poetry, there's so much. But really at the end of the day, poetry is about the way that it's written and not what is written. So there are different types, but that's because people wrote them. But ultimately poetry is written in verse, and there's a freedom to it that makes it poetry. And as long as you're writing that way, then you're writing poetry. And so there's still more genres to be explored, because there's still folks playing and exploring poetry. So it's a wonderful question. But there are genres, but there's still lots of possibility, because at the end of the day, it's about the way that you write it. What you write is up to the person. Thank you. Thank y'all so much, man. It's been great to hang out with y'all this morning. Make sure you submit for the competition, man.
We're going to put up a slide. In Unity, we would like, the Theater and English Department would like to offer an opportunity for you to have your spoken word, your poetry facilitated. If you need a place to practice it, if you need someone else to hear it other than your shampoo bottles, you can come and meet in room 1209. You can email Ms. Gherkin or myself or your English teachers about your poetry and getting involved. You can scan this QR code if you're interested in signing up. There will be an opportunity for you to have your poem professionally filmed, so that way you can have the courage and professionalism to not be holding your own phone out in front of your face. We want to provide you with as many opportunities to be successful in this. So if you are interested, please sign up and stay in touch. All right, thank you so much, everybody. Let's go ahead and bring the house lights up. Let's get ready for